Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 3 p.m. here in New Vienna. That means it's time for another live stream, and happy Friday, everybody. Look, talking about some unnecessary graphics. You guys mentioned that you liked, I think you didn't like it, but I think you guys said you liked all the CNNSL graphics on here. So we're going to go with a little ticker on the bottom. Happy Friday, October 9th, 2020. No word of the day today because there wasn't a video this morning. I was just super tired today, and I'm still kind of just like super tired. So hanging in here, just trying to make it work. I got a big old glass of Noon. It was going to be coffee, but you know, the Noon has a little bit of caffeine in it. So I thought, no, that'd be all right. So let's see who else is all here today. We've got Frank Mahulier, Chris Dyke coming in. Was in a work conference call all week, but now he's here. Good to see you. Not really Hank Aaron is here as well. JC. I got Jody, Martha. What's going on, everybody? Martha is making today happy hour with a wine spritzer, even though it's only 2 p.m. I think that's okay. I definitely at 2 p.m. I could have gone for a drink today. I'm just tired. Ronan Reviews is here. What's going on? Martha says default to SL20 is always a good idea. I think yesterday we hit that word of the day sound a lot. I think today we're just going to take a break from it. Innes is here. He votes for poop for word of the day. I think no word of the day today. We'll give it a rest for one day only. No word of the day. And then we'll come back to it for tomorrow. Yeah, I'm going to have a couple of videos that are kind of up in the air, exactly what order the videos are going to be, but we'll have a couple of videos in there. We'll be able to throw in different words of the day for sure for the next couple of days. Alias again, with that name that we've been talking about before. That's an interesting alias. Says, hi, so Kofuzi, what happened with Nike? You seem to not wear any at all anymore. And what happened to Chicago? Well, Chicago, like much of the entire globe, was afflicted with a pandemic. So we decided that we would, rather than living in a high-rise apartment building and sharing lots of common spaces, we decided we would weather the storm here in Iowa at my in-laws' house, where the girls have lots of room. My daughter is attending virtual school with Chicago Public Schools, so she can do that from anywhere. So we're doing it from here. Grandma bought a swing set for the girls so they could play outside. I can go run out in the country roads here without running into anyone ever. I did run into a dog today. That was nice. It was a friendly dog, a very friendly dog. It was a poodle. I called it a farm dog, even though poodles aren't necessarily known as farm dogs, but it lives on a farm. So I'm going to call it a farm dog. Yeah. And we're also having some, help from grandma and grandpa, and the kids get to have more human contact rather than just me and my wife. So it's like a win-win-win all the way around. So that's why we're not there. And then with Nike, there was a lot of things that happened. I mean, in retrospect, in the grand scheme of things, that seem kind of petty to hold grudges about now. I've made several videos about it, about why I kind of stopped wearing Nike stuff, why I do still wear some Nike stuff. But I did review the Peg 37 earlier this year. But, when it comes to like what I want to wear, just like on a regular day, I wear kind of what I feel like wearing. So that's what's going on there. So thanks for the comment and the question. Lucas Lulicampo says, me. Okay, cool. Matt 85 says it's Friday and the Kofuzi index is seeing all-time highs. Bye. I do really want Jim Cramer's big board where I can just smash things and like have different sounds come out. Like that's what I need. I think I need to figure out a way to build that, right? Because then like I feel like all I really need to do is build like a giant keyboard, and so then on my streaming software figure out how to make hotkeys. So like if I slam one, tie that to like Control X or maybe something else to make it a command, and then play a sound or play a video. Like what I would love to do is, and I'm going to try to work on some for the weekend. I'm going to make like a word of the day graphic, kind of because I've been watching a lot of the new Press Your Luck. Have you guys been watching that? Like the remake of that game show? I don't like the remake at all, but I did love the original game show. So like I want to have like stuff like that where I can just like hit like a button and then stuff comes out. I don't know that I'll get the thing made ever, but I would love to be able to have some other graphics and stuff come up. So that's what's going on there. All right. Speaking of that, though, I am going to turn this banner off because it was getting intense. All right. Recycle on Wednesday says, I've been busy with midterms. Much rather be here with all of you. Well, you're here now, so good to see you. Good luck with the midterms, though. I can't imagine trying to study for a test right now. Like, I don't know. Like, if a teacher was on me, like, you really got to understand price elasticity. I'm like, you want me to try to figure out what right now? You understand how many people just died today? Like, that's kind of what I would say. But, my nieces and nephews, three of them are in college right now. And so, like, they don't even know, like, is class going to be virtual, or is the university going to be shut down, or is it going to be in-person class? It could go either way. Stevie76 says, got an email. Congratulations. You have entered the 2021 Virgin Money London Marathon International ballot. Registered for fun because I heard we have less than the 4% chance of actually getting in. Yeah, I've heard that it's really small, and I think pretty much the only way you can do it is by raising money through charity. I think that's kind of like the only way. But are they going to even have it? Like, has that even been confirmed? Because I thought I saw today on Ben Johnson's Instagram that he said that or at least the rumor is that the Tokyo Olympic Marathon isn't going to be held until the fall, which would be weird on a lot of levels. But does that also mean that they're not like willing to have like another? I mean, are they going to have another London Marathon in like another like 7 months from now or 6 months from now? Like, that's I don't know. I have no idea what's going on with all these races. It's crazy. Kevin Bickerton is here. Ken is here as well. Good to see you guys. Let's see. Ricardo Katagiri says has 2 races this weekend. Wow, 24K Saturday and 24K Sunday. Long time since the last race. Cool. Well, that's cool. That's fun. Hopefully it's something that can be done safely. 24K is an odd distance. So is that a trail race? Frank Lahoulier says, I think they are planning to have the high school cross country and track seasons at the same time here this year. Yeah, I think a lot of places are doing that. Although here in this county, in Dubuque County, cross country season is now. They're running it. Sometimes like at a meet, a team just won't show up because like they have coronavirus. But it's very much like HUL's Time Machine, where it's like sometimes someone disappears and you just don't ask questions. That's kind of what it feels like a lot. Omar Lopez says, do you think that the Nike running app is accurate? My team uses Strava, but I use the Nike app because it's more simple. I don't think that the Nike running app, I think you're asking like the wrong question. I think it's the device that is using the Nike running app or the Strava app that is going to make the difference. So like if you're using it with a phone, then it's not the Nike running app that's determining the accuracy. It's the phone that has the GPS that is creating or the accuracy or the inaccuracy. If you're using like an Apple Watch, nope, I don't have my Apple Watch on. If you have an Apple Watch, then it's the Apple Watch, maybe. Because if you have an Apple Watch and a phone, your GPS data is probably coming from the phone. For whatever reason, even when you're in a running app, except for very rare circumstances, the phone, the watch will try to piggyback off the phone as a primary rather than use its own GPS. And I think that's problematic because I think there's weird things that happen on phone GPS. But yeah, so that's where it comes from. But you know what, can Nike run? I think the Nike running app can push to Strava, can't it? So you could always still have your stuff in Strava. So if that's like what's important. Otherwise, you can't export. I don't think you can export your activities out of the Nike Run Club app, but you can manually upload, just repeating your Nike Run Club data, I think. All right. Martha says, ooh, what if Boston decides to schedule 2021 in the fall? That would be quite a global marathon schedule. Yeah. I mean, that's what we thought was going to happen this year, right? We were all excited. We were going to be like, fall 2020 is going to be so insane because we're going to have London, we're going to have Chicago, we're going to have Boston, we're going to have all these things. And we were like, that's going to be great and terrible. And what's going to happen with shoe sales? But like, I mean, at this point, I'm like, I just hope we have world majors in the fall next year. So like that's what I'm hoping for. But okay. 100 Max Power says they moved London to fall of October. Okay. All right. So is that when is Boston going to be in the fall too? Yeah, I mean that's what Martha was asking here. Interesting. D Perez Media says, "Hey Kofuzi, thoughts on running a marathon in the next percents that have 100 miles of them? No extreme wear on them." I think that's fine. I think I was going to run a marathon in my next percents, and they had 100. Oh, for Chicago in 2019, I was going to run my marathon in them, and they had 100. My next percent had 100 miles on them, but I got a pair of pink ones gifted to me by Nike, so I ran in the pink ones. But I was otherwise going to run in the green ones, whatever color that was, the original color ones, and that had 100 miles on it. I don't think that's a problem at all. And Reed Moore says, about to go put my 200th miles in the Hoka Rincon 1. Still loving the shoes. That's cool. Awesome. Hope you have a good run. Sean Marshall just giving me the wave. Awesome, dude. That's a little wave emoji. Tastefully Chaotic says, made it to the stream 2 nights in a row. Lucky me. It's 9 p.m. UK time. Well, thanks so much for checking in. That's cool. Glad to have you here. Ken says all fall sports are a go in central Pennsylvania as well. Yeah, I mean, I know that like they were saying that in Iowa, because Iowa had football this fall, like high school football, and so they were saying that a lot of kids from neighboring states, like Illinois specifically, were transferring to make sure that they could have like a fall season, so that they could then make sure that they had an updated highlight reel that they can send out for colleges for football. So like that's weird, and I think a very rational thing to do, depending on the caliber of athlete that you are, but also like paradigmatic of how screwed up of a system this is in terms of like the professional development of athletes. There's a lot to unwrap in that, but yeah, it's strange. Sports are strange. Who was I listening to that was talking about it? I think it was on a Rich Roll podcast. He was interviewing someone, and they were like, it was a professional athlete. Oh, no. Rich Roll was interviewing someone who was like a team psychologist or like a sports psychologist. And he was asking him like what he felt about his kids' sports as someone that like deals with professional athletes all the time. What does he think? And he was like, well, sports are kind of, they're entertainment. They're not a necessity. He's like, I understand that there's industries involved, there are paychecks involved, but ultimately it's entertainment. And I'm very compassionate, and I understand the arguments that the people that want to play sports are making, but I just think it's lunacy at the same time. Yeah. I think I'm a little bit overexposed here, guys. There we go. Mr. West 39 says, just got some Escalante 2s after loving the 1.5 this summer, going out for 6 this evening with them. Yeah, that's a good shoe. I like that one. But why did you go with the 2 and not the 2.5? I wonder. I mean, I'm guessing the 2s are probably a lot cheaper, and since the 2.5 is just like an upper update. But that's what people ask me when I got my Escalante 2s. I got mine like early in the summer, and people were like, why didn't you get the 2.5? For me, the answer was I didn't know there was a 2.5. That was my first pair of Ultras. But now I've been running a lot in the Ultra Superior 4.5, and I'm about at 90 miles with them. So 100-mile review coming up soon. Yeah, Jody says, with all the borders not expecting to open to mid-21, I think all the majors will be pushed back to your fall and our spring. I think so. It's like disheartening to think about it. This morning I was binging a whole bunch of Seth videos, and I was watching the one where he talked about he's going to be going after the Houston half, and I think we all talked about that the day that announced too, a couple of days ago, and how he's bummed that that's not going to go, and I'm pretty bummed that one's not going to go. I wasn't going to run that one anyway, I don't think, Well, I mean, if the president was able to deliver on his promise that we were going to have a vaccine before the election, then I probably would have gone. But since that doesn't seem likely anymore, you know. Martha says, I'm going to do the BAA Medley 5K next week, the half marathon sometime in early November to preempt winter weather complications, and finally 10K before the end of November. Cool. That's very cool. Awesome. Oh, breaking news from Stevie76. University of Minnesota Board of Regents has voted 7-5 to eliminate the men's indoor track and field, men's tennis, and men's gymnastic teams at the end of the 2021 season. That's ridiculous. That's crazy. Wow. Yeah, that's a big bummer. That's a really big bummer. I mean, I'm not the biggest follower of tennis or gymnastics, but and I don't really watch all that much men's indoor track and field. But I think it's problematic when they start getting rid of some of these other sports, especially when they're still keeping some, like the ones like basketball and football. Yeah, it just kind of stinks. Let's see. What do we got here? Blixton says, good evening. Blixton, that's a fun picture. Any life tips for students? I would say keep an even keel. I feel like for students, everything's changing right now. Everything's uncertain, and you guys are getting thrown like under the bus all the time. Just kind of like go with the flow, I would say. Don't let anything like super overwhelm you. Finals, having to leave campus, all that. There's going to be lots of changes happening. Just don't, I mean, what I've been hearing a lot on a lot of different podcasts and things that I've been listening to is like respond, don't react. So you're going to have your initial reaction to stuff, and those reactions are valid. Those are going to be very likely very reasonable responses to the things that happen to you. But, you know, let that pass and then respond and you know, and then move that way. Other than that, I don't really know I don't know how to advise anybody like a student at this time, because it's crazy. It's crazy out there. All right. Steve Arenberg says, that the app does need to successfully access the data on the device. I found that the Nike app sometimes loses GPS data from the Apple Watch that shows up in Apple Activities app. Oh, that's true. Oh, that's true. I haven't thought about it that way. I haven't noticed that too much, but there was a time where I forget what I was using, but maybe it was, I think it was with the Stride Foot Pod. It was a Stride Foot Pod, and maybe it was the Nike Run Club app. You might be right on that, because I remember looking at tracings, and it would have like, you know, my route, and then all of a sudden, like the Stride Foot Pod would like not connect with the app anymore, and so like then it would ping to GPS like over here, and then the Stride Foot Pod would snap back in or something like that. So it would just be like, you know, big jagged like a lightning bolt on my tracing on the GPS. But then if I looked in the Stride app, it was fine the entire time. So I suppose that can happen. And that referring back to like the Nike Run Club app versus the Strava accuracy. That makes sense. That makes sense. All right. Robert Morano says, I just found Zoomfly flying into my local Marshalls for $40. First Nike shoe ever and first plated shoe. It's definitely super fun to run in. I did like the Zoomfly flying in. I felt like of all the Zoomflies, that was my favorite, because the first one was the one with Lunar Lawn. That one was pretty good. And then the Zoomfly 3, I think, was my least favorite of the three. And then the Zoomfly Flying I liked the most. But $40, it's a great price. Reed Moore says, it takes me a while to get to 200 miles in any one pair of shoes after watching this channel, just buying all the shoes. I've had to make an affirmative decision to like not buy so many more shoes lately, because I'm like, I've got so many shoes. I got to get rid of some of these. I got to get to 100 miles. So now I'm like looking through, I'm like, there's some that I'm retiring. I'm like, I'm never going to get to 100 miles in them. And then there's some that I'm like, all right, these I've had for a while. I really like them. Let's make the 100-mile review on it. So I'm like I'm working on it before, and like my incentive is, one, these are good shoes that I want to run in and I want to make a video about them. But two, it's like I still want to get those Beacon 3s that are out there, and there's some winter shoes that are going to start coming up. People are asking me for winter shoe recommendations already. So like before I can get those, I got to get some of these out the door. So yeah, I also mess me up in a way of saying, Reed. So I know exactly what you mean. All right, 100 max power. I'm getting hot. Sorry, guys. 100 max power says, so September 20. I'm having a hard time with the dates because they're in the European format, and I'm like, what are these times? Are these GPS coordinates? What is this? So here's what Max Power's got as the list here. Yeah, he says, sorry, these dates are European writing. It's okay. So September 26th for Berlin. Then what? Like the next weekend is London, and then the next weekend is Chicago, and then the next weekend is Tokyo, and then there's a little break before New York. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. Wow. That's gonna be. I mean, I wonder what that. Yeah. Oof. But then like, there's other places that have really solid marathons. So like, I wonder what that does to those like I would still consider top tier, but not world major marathons. Like if you're the race director for like the Indianapolis Marathon or something else like that, which is like a really good marathon that usually has pretty good competition. Like, what do you do? Where do you slate yourself? Unless you have like a set schedule, like second Thursday of October or something like that. Huh. Wow. All right, let's see. Adam Steve says, I almost forgot I bought a pair of Vaporfly Flyknits that I was going to wear for my marathon. Last year was injured and this year's canceled. Only one workout out them. I should dig them out of my closet. Yeah, use them or lose them. Go for it. Josh Wiggins, good to see you. Late but still made it. He says, hello, everyone. What's going on, Josh? Ken says, recently bought Zoomfly 3s and a pair of Peg Turbo 2s. Hate the Zoomflies, love the Turbo 2s. Yeah, you know what I'm surprised I haven't seen people do yet, or maybe people already are doing it, are people hoarding the Turbo 2s yet? Because I feel like there isn't going to be a follow-up to those, right? And so the Turbo 2s that are out there, and they made a ton of those. Different colors, different like versions. They had collab versions of them too. Like, I wonder if people are just going to start gobbling them up because like once they're gone, they're going to be gone, right? But then again, I still get an occasional comment every once in a while that says like, and usually it's a comment that'll show up on an old video. So it'll be like a comment on like the Peg 35, and someone will be like, oh, I just bought this shoe. It feels great. Or I just bought this shoe and it feels terrible. And I'm like, how much did you pay for it? This is like a 2.5-year-old shoe. Sean Marshall says, Mike, do I feel like you are coming back around on socketing, or do you still think the knee pain is from that? I'd love to come. I was really thinking hard about running in the Ride 13s this week, especially when I was downstairs in the basement looking at all the shoes, and I was like, those Ride 13s have like 75 miles on them. I could just run in them in a couple of times and have that 100-mile video done. But I think then I think by sprinkling it been shift. I was like, I probably wait. I like a fast shoot for that. But, I'd like to feel like they're offering this. 100 or closer to 100%, so then I can like revisit it now that I've been like doing glute activations and glute activations has to be a word of the day someday. Maybe that's what it's going to be for tomorrow, glutes. But and I've been working on leg strength. I feel like my balance is substantially improved. I'm able to do like box sits a lot better now. My right side is still way weaker than my left, and I could definitely sense these imbalances and everything, but I'd like to get that a little bit more squared away, and then I can come back and like, because if I feel like if I run tomorrow might be like, this is the situation of the running is tomorrow. I ran a couple of days in a row. I did 2 7-milers in a row, which was kind of had been a lot for me lately. And if tomorrow I go run and I ran the Sauconys, I wouldn't know if it's because, well, 3 days of running in a row, like more than 5 miles at a time, is going to tire my knee out, or is it because the Saucony exacerbates? So I don't want that to keep like clouding the data, so to speak. So we'll get there, but I do want to come back to it. I do want to come back to it quite a bit. I can't wait. Hopefully it's soon. And by the way, speaking of glute activations, I just started watching the video, and then it was like time for a live stream, so I couldn't watch it. But Hella Good just posted a video like a couple days ago that I only saw now about like running with glute activation. So I'm like, oh, I want to watch that. I definitely want to watch that. So like that's going to be like, as soon as we're done here, I'm going to go watch that one. Because yeah, I'm hoping for, like, I feel like the progress is really, really, really slow, but I'm hoping that like, I've been doing these things for a couple of weeks, these other things for a couple of weeks, these other things for a couple of weeks. And hopefully that will all of a sudden, like just all of a sudden turn on, and then knee will feel good again. That's what I'm hoping for. Let's see. Tastefully Chaotic says, I want to run the OG marathon from Marathon to Athens. I want to run that one too. That'd be fun. That'd be super fun. But it's always, I mean, it's never not hot, isn't it? When I was listening to Murakami's book, what I talk about when I talk about running, and he talked about running that, but he ran it from Athens to Marathon. But either way, it's really interesting to hear his thoughts on the route, and kind of like the juxtaposition of like this ancient rite of passage, so to speak, and then like doing it in somewhat modern times. But I would love to be able to do that. Mark Chancoco says, I'm considering getting a second pair of Turbo 2s. They're so light, so much better than the Tempo Next. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of videos on the Tempo Next, and some of them are just like, I don't like this shoe. Some of them are like, this is a really specific shoe. Very certain types of people are going to like running this shoe in very specific types of workouts. Like those are like the two kinds of videos that I see. Which tells me like I don't think I'm going to like the Tempo Nexts. But the Turbo 2, that's a great shoe. Super versatile. I was hoping that the Peg 37, when it went to React, would feel similar to the to Turbo 2. It didn't, but yeah. But I think that, I mean, if you can get it on a good price, I have to check to see what the prices are on that. But if you can get it at a good price, I would say, pick up a pair. If you can get a really good deal on it, because then it's like, oh yeah, like a year from now, you might be like, this is exactly what I'm looking for. All right, Ryan Bradley says, hey everyone, happy Friday. Happy Friday, Ryan. Good to see you. Sean Marshall says, anyone stuck on buying an old version of a shoe because they can't get over it? I don't really have too much of that problem, but my running buddy does. And the main reason he does is because it's like he wants to save a couple of bucks. So if he finds a shoe that he likes, he'll just set like a Google alert for whenever he's like Google shopping detects like a price drop in it, and he'll buy them, and he'll run in basically one shoe like all year long. That's what he does. But, I think I'm lucky because I think some people have everyone's foot anatomy is different. Some people have a lot harder of a time finding a shoe that really works for them. Like my wife is like that, for example. And so like the next time I find a shoe that works for her, I'm going to buy a couple of them. An update though, in that regard is, so I got my wife a pair of the Ride 13s. Because I thought she would really like it. I was looking at her. She had Peg 36s. And I was watching her walk the other day. I was behind her. I was with my daughter, and she was with the jogging stroller and up with my other daughter. And it looked like her ankles were caving in a little bit. And I looked at her shoes afterwards, and like the part on the Sauconys that are really built up and extra like firm, all that part was super wrinkly and just crumpled. And I was like, oh, maybe she needs what the Ride 13's got to offer. So I suggested that to her, and she at first was very reluctant and didn't like it. And then she eventually was like, well, maybe you should get me those. And then I got them. And then after the first walk, she's like, they gave me blisters in my Achilles. But then like a week later after that, she's been wearing them. She's been wearing them regularly. So either she's just so frugal that she's like, well, I got us a pair of shoes and I'm just going to wear it. Or she's starting to come around on it. I'm hoping it's the latter. Let's see. Matt852 says, I just got a pair of React Infinity runs today, and I already love them. Hope they keep making them, or I might have to hoard a few. Yeah, I mean, I would normally say like, yeah, don't worry. They're going to keep making them. They're going to make them forever. But that's what I said about the Epic React. So like, and now that one's gone. I really like that shoe. So like, I know this replaces the Epic React in a lot of ways, but like, and if I don't know. I think there's probably going to be winter versions coming out if they're not already out already. So I think that'll be interesting to see too. Chris CT says, speaking of that, do you ever use Shield winterized versions of shoes over the winter? I do. The Midwest, North Midwest gets, I'd like to think this is North Midwest, gets some pretty nasty conditions. Yes, there are places that get much worse, especially like basically anywhere in Canada. But conditions can get pretty rough. So I do like to have winterized versions of shoes. Last year, though, I actually ran in very few winterized shoes. It just wasn't that bad of a winter last year. So last winter, I basically ran in a lot of thicker socks and just my regular shoes, or a lot of like light trail shoes, or those, what do they call them? Commuter shoes, or like the hybrid shoes, maybe trail, maybe road kind of shoe. And that worked out fine for me. So like the socks that I would look for are like merino wool, or my favorite is to run in the winter is to run in socks designed for skiers, because they come up like all the way up the calf. So lots of coverage for warmth, and they're designed to be worn for like several hours at a time without blistering. So that's kind of like what I wore a lot. I even bought last year like 3 or 4 different brands of waterproof socks, because I was thinking I would do a test, take like a summer shoe and run in winter, like waterproof socks. But like the weather just never got nasty enough last winter. I have a feeling, given what 2020 has given us so far, that this winter is going to be miserable. So I'm going to be stocking up on winterized shoes this year. MC1796 says, thoughts on the Asics Marathon prototype? I love it, number one. Number two, I would like to say that I started the rumor that it's a Meta Racer upper with the artist midsole, and Ben Johnson went with it. And then I also like published something about it too. And so it's been kind of growing. And then like, what is it? There was another Instagram account that actually did like a Photoshop mock-up of the artist midsole with a Meta Racer upper, and a lot of people that were commenting about it had no idea what the artist was. And so they were like, how'd you get pictures of that shoe? So it's been really funny. But one, I'd like to know what the stats are on that to see if it is street legal. So I'm very concerned about all of that, the way like it was rolled out and the way it's been introduced into the race. That concerns me substantially. But in terms of what the shoe could mean, I want it. I want to run in it. I love the Meta Racer. It's a great shoe, but my feet are not strong enough to run a marathon in that. I want to run in that Sarah Hall shoe. I want it. It looks amazing. And yeah, I hope that they make it in yellow, like Kill Bill yellow. That's what I want. Like just make it Onitsuka Tiger yellow and black. Give it to me. I want it. That's the shoe I want. I'm pretty passionate about it. When I saw that, I was like, what is that? What are those? Yeah. Mr. Random says, hi, TJF. Thank God it's Friends Day. reach out to everyone. Get and reach out to everyone, someone they have not spoken to in some time. The contact could be what they need. Thanks, team. I think that's a great message. It's a great message. Thanks, Mr. Random. I've been hearing a lot about mental health and things like that, and mental health comes up a lot this time of year in Iowa. Apparently, because it's not uncommon. Like if things are going bad harvest wise, suicide rates can be pretty high. So if it's like a bad year weather wise, things get pretty nasty. So like this time of year, there's always like a lot of like mental health stuff that pops up in Iowa. All right. What was up here? Yeah, Mark Chankogo talking about that Asics prototype. He's very excited about it, and please don't be over $200. Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be. And Martha says, miserable winter. What else could go wrong? Yeah. Don't say that because 2020 will find a way. Stevie 76 says the Rincons aren't working for me for some reason. Maybe I'm not made to run an EVA or I got a dud. I don't know. It could just be the EVA is not working for it. If it's the Rincon 1 or the Rincon 2, the Rincon 1 was like a very snug shoe. It was too snug a little bit. Like I appreciated the racer fit, but I was like, I'm not sure it has to be this tight. And then the Rincon 2 was a lot more comfortable for me. I feel like that worked out. Speaking of stocking up, Martha says, I did buy a new Boston 8 OG all boost before they disappeared completely undersized because there's something about them. Yeah, that was a weird, I mean, Adidas has been weird for like an entire full year, right? Because remember that with the Boston 8, there was the Boston 8 that had all boost and then that other like miscellaneous unnamed foam that was in it. Then without calling it anything different, they just made a Boston 8 with Light Strike. And so like that foam was replaced with something that was Light Strike and it said Light Strike on it. But like if you looked in like the Boston, if you looked on like the website, Adidas website, it was just like another color. You would just click on a different one. This color would be not Light Strike and this color would be with Light Strike. They just didn't even specify, they didn't even bother to specify the difference. And then the Boston 9 came out with Light Strike. So that was just such a weird rollout. Sean Marshall talking about with the Hokas that they can be super specific. Yeah, I think it's, some people like love them. Some people are just like, I don't get it. So that could be it too. I feel like though recently they've become they've been figuring out more of a better way to have like a mass appeal though. So I feel like they're coming a long way. And I think it's in a good way. Let's see what else we got here. Stevie 76, Kill Bill is definitely not a Christmas movie. Is it set at Christmas time? It's not set at Christmas time though, is it? Or is it? Is there a Christmas scene? I can't remember. I haven't seen it in a while. I've gotta go revisit that. Let's see. Ryan Bradley say, this is Thanksgiving in Canada, and I have the best Thanksgiving news that I have beat COVID-19. Still fatigued and not yet running, but brighter days ahead. Well, that is fantastic news. Let's get the cowbell out for that. That you have the clear bill of health. Awesome work, Ryan. Very glad to hear that. Whew, good news. Awesome. That's a great way to start the weekend. Awesome. See, Jody says, I heard that shoe companies no longer need to have shoes on the market for 3 months. And that is why Sarah Hall was able to wear them. Apparently, rule change was not communicated widely. That's interesting. See, my understanding was that the exemption she was looking for, like people later on were talking about this, like that she filed like a health exemption, like a TUE, a temporary use exemption or something like that. Like you could have an inhaler if you've got some sort of sickness, then you could take something that might otherwise be banned. But that doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand that. And I had not heard that. What I had heard the announcer was talking about during the marathon was that like she needed an exemption from the widely available like rule. So like you have to be within a certain stack height. You can have only so many plates, and you have to be widely available or like reasonably accessible in the spirit of fairness in sport. So that way, if I were a non-sponsored athlete, I could go get it and compete in them. Like if it's something that only an Asics athlete could get, because they've only made like 6 pairs and they've gone to all 6 of the pros, that's not allowed. So that's my understanding. So, I mean, what's not good for Asics right now is that they're not coming out and talking about it. Like we should know this full well by now. This should be like completely clear and out in the open. But everyone's still kind of like, oh yeah, hey, whatever happened with that shoe? What's going on there? You know? So like, I mean, maybe I missed it. Maybe I haven't been digging enough for it. But you know, I'd like to hear more about that. Trevor Cross says, thoughts on the Hyperion Tempo? I love that shoe. I love the blue midsole, but I also love the way that foam behaves. It's a little bit firm at slower speeds, but once you pick it up, kind of like right when you're at like marathon speed or faster, then that foam, it's just like, it's really nice. It absorbs impact from the road, and then it gives you a nice little spring. It's really nice. I like it. Frank earlier says the wide availability rule is that everybody in the race had to have access to the shoe. Yeah, I think it's something that they need to address. Colin Baker says that's correct. There's supposed to be an availability scheme to get new shoes to unsponsored elite athletes. Yeah, I mean, I think that should have been easy to figure out. I mean, it should be easy to figure out at any race, right? Because the race directors know who are the invited, like other elites. They're maybe like, you know, the bottom tier of the elite athletes. Maybe they're not getting appearance fees, but everyone else is. So they know they got everybody's email address. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know. But Frank Hillier says there were, where'd it go? There were only 3 people who were unsponsored in the race, and they offered the shoe to them. Oh, okay. All right. I suppose then that qualifies. Because I mean, like, what other race would you be able to say? Like, well, we offered them to everyone competing in the marathon today, and none of them wanted it. So, yeah. Chris Yao says, if it meets the plate and stack height requirements and has been made available via the relatively undefined availability scheme. Yeah. Current interpretation is that it would have to be available to the unsponsored elite athletes in the race. Then it would be allowed. Then I don't know why she needed an exception for. If it's true that, like what Frank is saying, that they offered it to the other 3 elite athletes, then I feel like, do you need an exemption? What's the difference? I don't know. Carrie says, yo, what's going on? Almost broke 4-hour marathon the other day, 4:15. Awesome work. Good job. Glad to hear that, Carrie. He says, getting there. Awesome. Good work. All right. And he says, incidentally, ran it in the Zoomfly 3s. Very cool. Sean Marshall says, Jamie must be pumped. They are making Asics great again. Yeah. Someone mentioned the other day, like, what happened to Jamie? He hasn't been making videos lately. He just posted something on Instagram today. Yeah, so he's out there. He's running. He said he ran 11 Ks. He's not going to refer to distances in miles anymore. So he's still poking the bear and, you know, riling people up. Let's see. Mark Jancoco says, all I picture is Sarah Hall crushing the end of that race with those fancy Asics. Yeah, it was amazing. That kick was crazy. Super crazy kick. And the lack of response, that was crazy too. Oh, by the way, because it's just driving by right now. Remember the other day when I was like, I'm distracted because there's a large piece of farm machinery that I don't know what it is. I was able to confirm, and you guys are correct. It was a combine. It was harvesting beans, I think. So that's why it had the low swishy thing up front, and that's what it was doing. And it just drove by right now. Yeah. And it says, Kofuzi, did you see Hella Good's glute video the other day? He added sprints to activate. I was just talking about it earlier. I saw it. It popped up in my feed like right before I came on the live stream here. I just started watching it. He was talking to his Amazon guy. I miss having a relationship with the Amazon guy. Not the one at home, but the guy at work. I had 2 different offices, and where I moved, I was still on his route. So like I've had the same Amazon delivery guy for over 10 years. I mean, there's been other people in the interim, but like that guy knows me. He's always a little patronizing too. Because when he finds me, I'm not wearing shoes because I'm like barefoot walking around the office. But he's like, "Hey, Mike, how's it going? Another delivery for you." I miss that. But yeah, I'm going to watch that video like right after this because we're going to see what that's all about. And he's adding sprints to activate. I've been doing a lot of different stretches and not like more like flow type movements, not like, borderline bouncing stretching, which I've always been told is bad for you, but not like static, like stretch down, touch your toes, now rest, touch. It's not like that, but I've been doing more like movements just to kind of get my knee to move around a lot and then to get my hip to move around a lot too. And I've also noticed my ankle is really tender lately too. So I don't know. I'm on the verge of a breakthrough, or I've just, instead of having one joint that hurts, I have 3. So I'm not sure, but I'll definitely going to check it out. I think that like there's something to the sprints because then you're really moving. And I've also noticed that when I'm running hard, I don't have any problem. So like that's something else too. All right. Carrie S with the super chat come in. How do I make that one? Oh, here it is. Carrie S with the super chat. Thanks, Carrie. Congrats on 60,000 subs. Yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks, Carrie, so much. Thanks for the super chat. Always appreciate it. And thanks everyone for, a lot of you guys have already sent me messages, and my wife saw it too. And she's like, "So you're going to run 60K?" I'm like, if I could, I totally would, but I don't think that would be a good idea for me right now. But yeah, I'm going to have to figure out something else to do. But 60K is crazy. It's crazy. The one damper on that though is that I feel like, between 50,000 and 60,000, I feel like I picked up maybe like 5,000 bots as followers, and they all want to have me DM them some sexy time messages. Like every video, there's always like 4 of them, 5 of them like in a row of like, hey, looking great, emoji, 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 emoji. And it's just very clearly a bot. So that's a little disappointing. But for everyone else that's here, so happy to have you guys along. It continues to be an amazing and wild ride. Let's see. What else we got here? Someone was asking me, where'd it go? Oh, Sean Gresham says, "What's the next race for you?" I don't know. I have no idea. Well, I'm going to do a 10K time trial in the middle of November. That's about it. But other than that, I was hoping to do Houston. Austin should be in February. Well, Houston's off, but Austin is in February. But who knows if I'll feel comfortable going out to a race in February. And then I don't know. I just haven't really thought. I'm not even thinking about races right now. So I'd like to do. After I do this 10K, I'd really like to do a half marathon. So like a winter half marathon would be great. It might be another time trial, which is super lame. I don't like doing them, but we'll see. Remy says, "Can we please acknowledge Bridget Kosgei, the actual winner of that race? Thanks." Yeah, she was super tough. I mean, for a while, I thought Chepengetich was going to get her. I thought she had it, but then she just turned it on and still had another gear for sure. So she was impressive. Trevor Cross says, "I know it's been a long time and you probably answered this, but are you ever going back to Chicago?" Yes, we're going back to Chicago. A lot of it's going to depend on the primary driver on that is Chicago Public School. There for at least the first quarter are going to be virtual. So as long as Chicago Public School is virtual, we're going to stay here. If Chicago Public School goes to in person, then we'll have to go back. because I don't want to send my kids to school out here. That's for sure. Nothing wrong with the schools here. I actually like the schools out here. But right now, this county, it's like 20 or 30% positivity rate, and they still have school. And the governor has recently changed her definition of guidance and says, if you've been exposed to someone with coronavirus, you can still go to school as long as you wear a mask while you're there. So yeah, it's bonkers over here. So, but we're not here for the Iowa schools. We're here because we got space and grandma and grandpa and a swing set and trails we can hike on and places where we can be where we're not like around, you know, lots and lots of other people. Let's see. One more question from Sean Marshall. I think it's interesting, and then we'll end it for today. It says, do you think there is a culture that a late race finish like Sarah Hall's is bad etiquette? I would vehemently disagree, but I know sometimes sports develop culture that discourages moves like that. That's interesting. It's interesting because, like, I mean, do people not like that? Do people not like it if you like steal the race at the end? I mean, I guess I can think of like people get annoyed when like you're bidding for something on eBay and then you've had the high bid for like 4 days. And then in the last 5 minutes, like there's a race of like, just like a flurry of bids going back and forth. That's annoying. But I also feel like, you know, someone that didn't get a lot of coverage during during the London Marathon was Sinead. I always thought it was Diver, but they kept calling it Diver. But she did well in the London Marathon. Was she like 8th? I think she came in 8th. Last year she came in 7th, but she also like led the race for a really long time. And the announcers at the time were like, what's this lady doing? She's crazy. She's nut job. She just wants to be on TV. But in her interviews later, she was like, you know, I could tell what these other women were doing. They were sitting back, keeping it slow, saving it for the rest of the race, and they were just going to kick fast. And she's like, I know that I can't keep up with that, so I just have to run my race. So I feel like if people don't like it when like people steal the finish at the end and like just kick by and win, they should also really be mad when the pace isn't quick in the early half of the marathon too. I don't think you can be mad at both. Like be mad at one thing and not the other. You have to be mad at both. But I don't know. I don't think so. Because I mean, there's lots of incentives to do it other ways too. Because when you race like that, I think that overall it tends to slow down the finishing times. It makes for an exciting finish, but overall finishing times tend to be slower. Like world records don't get broken that way. But I know at the London Marathon, they had like lots of like other kind of like, I don't want to call them side bets, but other different bonus structures available out there to encourage people to not hang back and just fast finish. So that's an interesting question. It's an interesting question. A lot to think about there. All right. Well, I think I'm going to leave it there for today, guys. I had a lot of fun today. I hope you guys did too. Tomorrow's video, still kind of deciding what it's going to be on. But we'll definitely have a video tomorrow morning. And then we'll do another live stream tomorrow afternoon, same time, 3 p.m. Central Time. Hopefully I can see you guys there. In the meantime, be safe out there, everybody. Thanks.